You're listening to the Real Estate Entrepreneur Podcast with Terrence Murphy, where we cover sales, investing, and entrepreneurship with an emphasis on real estate. Each podcast, Terrence and his guests will bring you informative and inspiring information within the real estate industry.
Welcome to another episode of the Real Estate Entrepreneur with Terrence Murphy. You guys know I start off each episode with a quote. This one will be quick. The one thing we can't control in our business lives is effort. Either you make the commitment and get the results or you don't. Mark Cuban. So I want to jump in. I got a guest today. She's a good friend of mine. We connected in Cabo. I guess it's been a year and a half or something like that. Veronica Figueroa is an award-winning real estate influencer and keynote speaker known for her vivacious personality. Veronica leads the #1 team for homes sold in EXP, the Figueroa team. She regularly engages with other team leads to share her unique techniques that fuel her team's success. As a result, Figueroa team continues to scale and grow as one of the nation's leading teams, serving 2,000 families and clients in 2021 and over $646 million in sales volume. So Veronica Figueroa, thank you for being on the show today with me. Appreciate you being here.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so I know you're very passionate about the real estate industry, and we're going to dive into your story and some of the things you're doing and how you're killing the game and #1 team, and the list goes on of the attributes. But just tell us real quick, like, how did you get into real estate? How did you become a real estate entrepreneur? Just give us your story in a couple of minutes, and then we're going to dive in.
Yeah, I think I've told the story a lot, so I think I got it narrowed down to being brief. I got into real estate by accident. I had just graduated from college, and just like a lot of college, graduates, your dream job doesn't always land on your lap immediately. What you had envisioned, and I had a degree in human resources, and it was a little challenging. It was right after 9/11. Well, actually right before 9/11. And I had this vision of working in human resources. But a friend of mine realized that I didn't have a job yet. He was like, hey, let's go get our real estate license. We live in Orlando, Florida. So there's this idea that, we're in timeshare capital of the world and we're going to get rich selling real estate timeshare. And I absolutely hated it. I was like, I don't want to do timeshare, dude. I don't know what you're talking about, but I'll take the class with you just to help you study. He never passed the test, Terrence, and I did. And I ended up having a real estate license. 9/11 happened the next day after I passed my real estate test. So I had no desire to be a real estate agent at the time, but I figured, you know what, I'll keep it on the shelf for whenever I might want to buy my own personal house. I just graduated, I think it was like 20 or 21. And I didn't do anything with it for a few years until life happened. I went through a divorce right around 24 years old. I had 2 kids, and I had to supplement my income. And I had my real estate license. I had kept up with the continuing education, but I never really, again, did anything with it until, I had to make that decision to say, how am I going to take care of my children while also, making sure their lifestyle wasn't as negatively impacted with the, change in my personal life. And I started doing real estate part-time. By now I was working in human resources, and I was, training, developing, recruiting people to a company. And I loved what I did, but I started doing real estate part-time. And I remember I'm actually sitting at a high desk right now. And I remember the feeling of having to hide underneath the desk and like negotiate contracts, because I got really good really quick. I just had this thing with networking and marketing. So I started, selling houses to everybody that I knew. And I got that itch, man. I just did it for 3 months part-time. And I just one day woke up, I said, what if I do this full-time? What if I actually dedicated my time to, real estate and was willing to go all in with it? And I remember calling my mom and I said, Mom, I'm going to quit my full-time job. I'm burning the boats. I'm going all in. And she says, are you crazy? You got 2 small kids. You're a single mother now. I said, imagine what I could do if I just gave it my all. I think my first month I made like $11,000 that when things started to close, right? Yep. And I was like, I'm rich. And then I realized I'm not. But imagine if I just give it my all, what would happen? And that was in 2005. And Terrence, here we are in 2022, never looked back. And it's been a wild ride. Real estate definitely did change my life. At the moment I thought I was going to have a little bit of flexibility with my kids, but my kids, if you ask them, they grew up in the back seat of my car while I'm negotiating and I'm writing contracts on the hood of the car at the time. And now my kids are in their 20s. So two of them actually work for me in real estate, which is pretty cool. One does marketing and the other one is doing video editing. But they've kind of had every role. But yeah, real estate's been in my DNA now for 20 plus years and I love it.
Man, that's awesome. I think even when we met, you just carry a vibrant energy about you. And I think it's very important to really pull that out of your story because you had the vision, right? You're a visionary, like you had that dream. And I think where we go wrong is you had a vision and a dream, but it called you to step out in faith and take that risk. So if you were giving advice to agents that are part-time agents, because not a lot of people talk about part-time agents, what would be 3 things you would give them on how to transition into full-time if you were talking to part-time agents?
Absolutely. And I have an affinity for part-time agents, who are, seeing this as an opportunity that they can eventually grow into full-time. I know sometimes you have to go through, that process of working a full-time job and doing real estate at the same time. But I know some part-time agents who have more full-time hustle than full-time agents who have part-time hustle, and then they get part-time results where I've seen part-time agents get full-time results because they're focused. They have a goal in mind and they just really want this. So shout out to all my part-time agents out there who are really working hard to make this their full-time career. And there are many success stories. I am one of them. And if I can give you any hope and inspiration, you might be part-time, labeled part-time just because you're juggling two, but you're on the right track if you really have a plan. And I would tell agents like how many, what do you need to make in order to get you to transition full-time? Right. And I would say, how many deals, how many closings, what's that, dollar amount? And I've helped coach a lot of agents. Some were teachers, some were second careers that they're just like, if I could just do this, I could do real estate full time. And I would, kind of break it down. I'd reverse engineer like, okay, what does that look like? What do we need to pay off? How much money do we need to have in reserves? What needs to happen for you to have the confidence? And some, Terrence, because I have a team, I tell people like, look, join my team. Forget about the split, man. Forget about the split. So maybe you're a part-time agent that you could join a team that's high performant, like it's a high performance team like ours that has the platform to help you become that full-time agent. Because it's not about the split, right? It's about the experience, the exposure, the network, the database, and going back to that, like we got to grow your database, right? The quicker we grow your database, the quicker we come up with your strategies to help you become full-time, the quicker we can get you there. And I don't care if it takes 6 months, a year, 2 years, we'll get you there if you truly have a plan. This whole ad hoc, like I sell a deal here and there. Whenever my cousin calls me or my neighbor, I meet them at the, let's say rec center or the soccer field. That's not going to get you to becoming full-time.
Yeah.
But if you actually come up with a plan and you have a mentor that can, show you the way, introduce, and there's different ways in different markets, right? But in my market, we're in Orlando, Florida, high volume, maybe not so high price point, but there's a lot of people moving here. Like there is a way for you to build a niche, right? And become an agent that people can trust, that the consumer doesn't know that you're part-time. They see your full-time effort, whether it's educating people on where to live in Orlando, where to live in, you guys are what? College City? Is that what they call it?
College Station. College Station.
Yeah, right. College Station, right? Being that advocate and the world doesn't need to know that you're part-time if you're putting out that full-time value. Yeah. So it's like hitting your database, whether you're building your YouTube, whether you're building your brand. I know a lot of people who are great part-time agents on their way to being full-time, and they're going to outperform some of these full-time agents that are going to have to move over. So there is a way. You have to have a plan. I would say find yourself a mentor, and you got to be super consistent. And you got to want it more than some of these full-time agents out there who are, I would say, a little bit complacent in the business.
No, I love that. That you're just as passionate about part-time agents as I am about new agents.
Yeah, me
You know,
too. Oh my God, I love new agents.
I love new agents because, when we got in the industry, when I got in, I was in my early 20s and everybody just said, well, how long have you been doing it? Well, I've been doing it 20 years. And it almost like makes you feel less than because you haven't been in it for 20 years. And so I kind of took on this passion of just growing up new agents. And I love that energy. So like you said, hey,
let me say something real quick before we segue. Like,
yeah.
I remember being the new agent. I remember being a young agent too. So not only was I new, I was young.
Yep.
And there were times, Terrence, and I don't think I've confessed this, like I would lie about my age. I would say I was older so that I could get a little bit more respect, or, and I there were things that I did that I just felt like the industry had this taboo on young agents at the time.
Yep.
Now I love new agents. But I also remember, like, when I broke into the REO market, when the market crash happened, I remember being told that there was no way I was going to be able to break into REO because that went to the seasoned agents who have been in the business for like 20 years plus. And I remember saying, well, they better move over because I'm hungry. I got 5 kids at the time I remarried. So now my husband had 3 kids. So I got 3 bonus kids. And they were all between the ages of 9 and 1. So, like we had a need, but I remember someone telling me, there's no way you're going to get an REO account. At the time, that was the only business out there. You had to be in the business a long time to know short sales. Well, I did so many short sales that I had to become an expert. And, I was the new kid on the block, but I wanted it so bad that it didn't matter my age and it didn't matter how long I've been in the business. It was a reflection of my work ethics and what I was willing to do. And I was not afraid to ask for the business. I wasn't afraid to ask for a chance. I was like, and obviously you're an athlete. I would like, put me in, put me in. Pass me the ball. I'm going to bring it in,
Yep.
And that's exactly what happened. I got one asset manager who saw my passion and was willing to give me the crappiest deal that needed more repairs than I could even afford to fund myself. But guess what? I told him I could do it. And I found a way to fund that deal. I found a way, and it was the worst. Like, we had to rip out drywall, do all kind of stuff. And that's when everybody was struggling in 2008, 2009, as far as, real estate agents. And you had to deepen your pocket to pay for the repairs for the asset managers, to give you the deal. And I was like, I'll figure it out. Next thing you know, man, I got 37 assets all across the state of Florida. And I became the new REO, like, queen, because I wanted it that bad. And I was willing to do whatever it took. So I didn't care if I was new. I didn't care if I was, broke, inexperienced. I was willing to do it because I was, hungry. And that's what I want to say to any of the new agents and the part-time agents and struggling agents or anybody. Like, how bad do you really want it? Man. If you want it bad enough, you'll find a way.
And that we have kindred spirits. I think that passion and that fearlessness to just figure it out. I think so many times we depend on other people, like, well, I gotta go. No, you're the common denominator. Figure it out. And I love that story. So a couple things you said for agents that are thinking about transition. What do you need to pay off? There's a lot of wisdom in that. How much reserves do you need? And then drop your pride and your ego and join the team. Who cares about the splits? Just get in there and learn and grow and scale, and then database, strategy, and finding a mentor. So I just wanted to put that back out there for our listeners because we have, it's really
and
good.
I want to say one more thing on that is like the ego part of joining a team. It's not just about the leads or the splits, guys. It's also the career capital. What does that person, what that team leader can pour into you? I have agents that if you say you started on the FIG team, people are like, oh, we got you. Like you worked with Veronica. Like, man, we know how they are on that team. You're, like, you're gonna have instant credibility, as far as like understanding what it is to put in the work and just being able to, what I would call, piggyback or borrow the authority that we've established in the market. Why not take advantage of that career capital? You work in my world, I'm going to make sure you're set up for success to be a successful agent, even when you're not on my team anymore. Because to me, it's about, you're an alumni of the FIG team. You came from us. I am so excited to help you launch your career. That career capital, I think if I can give you a little bit of a shortcut, it's priceless sometimes. And I mean, that's where I want agents, no matter what market you're in, like think about who can help you establish that career capital where you don't have to, start from zero.
Man, that's good. So let's pivot then. I mean, you led me right into my next segue. I mean, I was sitting right there when you got the award. I actually snuck up and gave you a hug real quick. But it was probably so much going on. But, number one team for homes sold at EXP. So let's talk about that. I mean, tell me about it. What does that mean?
It's still just, it's really surreal to know that we accomplished that. It's 2022, and it took a lot of years to get to that point. And I think the pandemic, just reflecting on that, some of the choices that I made over the last few years to change my business model, to come into a company, a platform that we get to work at that gives you the freedom to just dream and think big, right? And I knew I found my place, but I had no idea, Terrence, that we were going to win, be announced the number one team in the world for EXP. And we're talking about 2,173 units that we, some point in 2021, managed. We got paid on 2,173 transactions. We managed 2,173 transactions. We helped create jobs. We built systems. We built operations. We built a real organization, a multi-million-dollar revenue generating operation. But that's what people see, but they don't know what it took to build it. I made strategic business decisions, relationships with big conglomerates. I'm talking about Wall Street money, decisions that people would call me a sellout. They're like, oh, you're in bed with this, big box company that will charge a percentage for this, or you're buying leads, or no, I'm building a business.
Yep.
I'm building a business, and how I choose to build my business with multiple pillars in real estate, it should not be judged. But for many years, it was judged. And also, Terrence, it's not every day a woman, especially a woman, minority woman, gets to take that prize home. Mm-hmm. And I share that with you because I want people to have maybe hope or inspiration that they can be the next one to hold that trophy or that award. But for me, it represents so much more because first things first is I'm proud to know that I'm a really good operator. Yep. I'm a really good business person. I've learned to become a better business person, not really good. I've learned to become a better business person. I have really great people around me, people who believe in me and who are excited about what we built. We set out to build something that we never expected to, sell 2,000 homes. The goal was 1,200, to be honest with you. But we put so much fuel in it and so much passion in it that it just 10x, right? It was just amazing. But it's not necessarily what we did, is everything we had to overcome. Mm-hmm. I had to become a better leader. I had to find the right people. I had to make decisions and risk certain relationships in order to build what we built. But it's a beautiful thing when you look back and this was not an overnight success. There were many tears. There were many mistakes. There were many business decisions that were not good. But, we've done some pretty awesome things. We helped build Zillow's, iBuyer program, right? We were a part of that. Whether they thrived or not, at the end of the day, that's not what I set out to do. I set out to test and challenge the industry. I set out to, be, I would say, hopefully a pioneer that consumers deserve choices. Consumers are at the center of all of this, right? Mm-hmm. And as a real estate agent who I want to be known as being nimble, innovative, forward thinking, daring to be different, not afraid to push, the envelope, that's what I feel we've accomplished. Mm-hmm. Is to set to go against the status quo was what I was most proud of. And, the sales, to be able to say that we did that and, we'll forever hold that close to our heart. I don't know if we'll be number one next year because we got so much talent joining and I'm kind of getting to a point where maybe I'm going to work smarter in certain areas of my life. But to take that, home and know that we did it, it for me means so much more than just the amount of homes we sold. It's the lives that we've impacted. And it's what I hope it represents for inspiration. Ladies, we have arrived.
Yep.
We have arrived. Minorities, we have arrived. If I have a voice in change, I promise I'm going to use it for change that will say, we deserve to be at the table. We are smart. We are educated. We deserve wealth. We deserve, and deserving is such a word that's kind of like something like someone was taking something away from us. No, it is our time to know that, we are representing such an important aspect of the real estate space, in business, in just inspiration. So for me, that's what it represents, Terrence. And I don't know if I'm going down a rabbit hole, but that's where my heart is, and that's what's important for me. And, I love all the boys, but move over. The ladies have shown what we're capable of. And I hope that I could leave a little bit of inspiration for people. Listen, here's the deal. Like, y'all want to hear the real nitty gritty? 16 and pregnant, bankrupt by the age of 24. Divorced by the age of 24, bankrupt by the age of 26, made multiple bad investments. So, here we are being able to reflect on all that to get to this moment and be like,
here we are.
This is beautiful. This is amazing. And I will always honor and cherish this moment.
That's good. Yeah, so our theme this year for our camp, we do a camp for underprivileged kids and football, finance, and faith. We use football, obviously, to get them there. We had almost 500 kids show up. It was crazy. But our theme this year was restoration. And that's your word. God has restored everything tenfold that you thought you lost. And so that's just who he is. So I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
So as a broker, because we talked about the team, but you were a broker for a season of life, and when you pivoted, what about EXP? Because I'm getting a lot of calls now, me being an independent broker for 10, 12 years and being a part of leading RE and all this stuff. Now that I just hit my anniversary just this week, actually. So I've been here now 12 months at EXP. I'm starting to see, I feel like a lot of the brokers were waiting to see me be there the whole year, and now they're starting to call me. But for you as a broker, what made you say EXP is the right model? Like, what about it?
I'm always going to be grateful for my time at Remax, which was my previous broker. I learned a lot. I feel like that's where I kind of grew up. Got a lot of professional experience there. And at the time, it was the right move for me. But when I found EXP, I had reached a point in my career. And I think that this is where, listen, if I'm known for anything, I want to be a truth teller, Terrence. I want to be a truth teller. And it's something that I know in the real estate space, we're brainwashed to believe you start off as an agent, you become a top producer, you become a broker, and that's the end goal, right? And you like ego's in the way, your name's on the building. But what they don't tell you is the liability. And they don't tell you you're one lawsuit away from an E&O insurance claim that could wipe your entire brokerage out. They don't tell you is that you've got people out there making decisions on your behalf, on your name, and you assume all the liability. And not to say it's a bad thing to be a broker. I'm not saying that. It just wasn't my thing, right? And then I think of like, well, I'm a broker and I'm really better at selling houses and developing people and marketing, right? And I started looking at all the broker duties that I had to do. I was like, okay, I could hire a broker. But if that person wanted to quit tomorrow, I'm back at square one and I got to find me another broker. And I just started asking myself questions like, what do I want to be in the next 5 years? What do I want to do? Like, is the broker or owning a brokerage really what I want? And I started kind of like doing this audit of what I enjoyed doing, what I didn't enjoy doing. And I kept on coming back to the same answer. I love developing people. I love developing my team. I want to grow and scale my team. And I had this big vision of being beyond my zip code. I don't know what that meant. It was before I could even pinpoint what it meant. But I was always someone who was willing to share my journey. And I had the privilege of being on a couple stages and to share my story. So it started being very clear that my purpose was not to be a broker, but I wanted to help brokers. And then I would get that pit in my stomach, and my husband would say things like, why are we working so hard to keep the doors open at a brokerage that really isn't profitable? And the thing is that anybody listening that owns a brokerage, look, there's this kind of like, there's the broker, you have to stay in production for you to be profitable.
Yep.
Then there's small brokerage where, you ain't got a real business, you got a job, because unless you sell something, your brokerage isn't profitable.
Yep.
And then you start building this team. Well, you might as well have a team bridge within a brokerage. I think teams that are inside a brokerage are brilliant too. That's what we have now. But then you get to a point where you're like, okay, you have enough agents to where you're profitable. You start being profitable, but then someone leaves you.
Yeah.
Now you're back at square one. So then it's like, okay, so do I build the brokerage where I have hundreds of agents? That's pretty profitable, right? You got to have a model where it's like at scale, lots of agents, and you pour a lot of resources into them. And then you got that kind of like messy middle.
Yeah.
Where I was at. It was that messy middle. It's like 30 agents. It was a kind of like, I would say, like a black hole. And I was in the black hole for a while. It was like, I loved having a team that was super profitable. Independent agents were great, but I had to still either be in production somehow, some way, either building my team or being the one in listing appointments. Because the truth is, what people don't tell you is the brokerage model is not very profitable. Maybe other people have a better formula, but it's usually high agent count, or you have a team that's super profitable
in the brokerage
yep. that you own, and that you own, by the way. The team has to, or you just have to have, other ancillary services to support, because at the end of the day, the brokerage model, in my opinion, was broken.
Yeah.
And I was tired of being the broker.
Yep.
I was a better producer. I was a better team leader than I was enjoying being the broker that, society tells you this is your next step. You're supposed to be the broker behind the desk and serving. I love serving agents, but it wasn't at the brokerage capacity. I didn't enjoy that part of it. Yeah. So when I already knew that answer, when EXP came to light, and my ego was in the way, my ego was like, oh, no, I can make this work. I wasn't enjoying it anymore. When EXP was on the map, I was like, kind of like reluctantly trying to ignore it, And I was like, I don't want to hear about this. I can't. And then one day I just took the time to say, what would a world that I had a little bit of freedom look like? And it just checked all the boxes. It checked all the boxes of, being able to scale into any market, grow globally, having mentorship from people who like I absolutely admire and was inspired by, that I could be in business with and partnership with, and they're excited about my success. Talking to people that were, equally as maybe experienced or even more, and them being honest about like, yeah, man, we found a better way. Yeah. And I was willing to listen. I'm like, what is that way? Because I'm willing to listen, because before I was too hard-headed to listen. So then EXP just changed the game. And just to know that the agent could be at the center of it. I was like, I'm always rooting for the, the underdog, right? I'm the person who has big dreams. I'm like, but I didn't want them to have to go and get into debt and lose money and, have this belief that they had to go and get brick and mortar and, have all the responsibility and liability to have all the success that can come along with what the industry has to offer. EXP was the answer for me, hands down.
Wow. You summed it up for a lot of us independent brokers and team leaders, and that's good. So I got this one section. It's called Coming In Hot. So this is kind of fun. All right, Veronica, you're competitive. You got this. We got a couple more minutes. So we call it Coming In Hot. It's like a race. It's almost like a 40 time. So how quickly can you answer the questions? What's the record right now, Kyle? Sarah? 24 seconds. All right, Veronica, you got this. You got this.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask you 5 questions. You're going to answer them in one sentence or one word. Okay? You ready?
Mm-hmm.
So the music will come on, Coming In Hot. All right, here we go. Start. Do you have a college degree or no college degree?
College degree.
All right. What was your greatest challenge as a child?
I used to fight a lot. I
Okay.
used to get bullied, jumped.
She used to fight. What was your first attempt at entrepreneurship?
I was selling ices in summer at the age of 8 to the people who were playing marbles.
There you go. What was the worst real estate advice you've ever received?
That I could only sell to Latinos.
Who was the person who made the biggest impact on your career?
My mother.
40 seconds. That ain't bad. She was rolling.
Darn it.
That's good though. That's good.
I love that. Those are great questions.
Yeah. Couple more questions, then we're gonna get out of here. So this was good. What's this? So a lot of times people want to know. They see you on stages at Inman. They see you at EXPCon, which I'm so proud of you. I was sitting on the front row when you were the main keynote interviewer and everything. So once again, so proud of you.
Thank you.
What's the secret to good time management for someone like you that's a real estate entrepreneur? What's the secret to good time management? What are some hacks that you use or that you've learned over the years?
It's not time management, it's choice management.
Ooh, that's good.
Now where I'm at in my life, if it doesn't feel good in my soul, then I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
And I'll give you an example. Like today I flew in to Orlando. I had a choice to either pack my schedule and pretty much interrupt my spirit and not truly have grace with myself. And I'm realizing I do better work when I'm at peace.
Yeah.
And I know sometimes we think we just want to jam pack our business, busy work. Now I'm doing more of work that's aligned with me, right? It's got to feel good. So this morning, there were some things I was like, hey, it's going to be too much pressure on me and you're not going to get the best version of me. I'd love to reschedule so this way I could be present. So now I make a lot more decisions on the choice and that I could put out better work. That's a hack that I've learned. I live by my calendar. And I also, I'm not afraid to, if something, it's not even though I thought it was the right timing, something shifted to have that uncomfortable conversation now and say like, listen, I put a lot of thought into this and this is where I'm at. And it's just not aligned.
Yeah.
And it's okay. You have permission to change your mind. And for me as a busy real estate, I would say entrepreneur now and maybe call business owner, influencer, I get a lot of people, I was telling you this, I got a lot of people throwing opportunities at me all the time and wanting a piece of me. And I just have learned to scale my time and just say, maybe you should speak to my COO or my marketing team and people who I know can still get the job done. I don't have to have my hand in everything. And they're so clear on what my purpose is that they'll know if it's a yes or a no.
That's good.
And if it's not moving the business forward, here's the best life hack, choice management. But if it's not moving your business, if it's not moving your life forward, your business forward, or your spirit forward, like bringing you joy, why do it?
Yep.
To do it just to do it, sometimes it's just noise. I used to be a real big noisemaker. I used to be that girl who's always busy. Now it's more like if it's not moving my business forward, my life forward, my family forward, or my soul forward, it's a no for me.
It's a no. Yeah, a pastor pulled me to the side a couple of years ago. I've never met this pastor. I just went to meet him at the church and he said, Terrence, I got a message for you. Never met him in my life. And he said, God is telling me to tell you, your no is going to be so much more important than your yes. And so that really helped me. It's exactly what you're saying. A couple more questions. You've built a great brand with the Fig team. What do you feel like is your kind of secret to success with brand building?
It's funny because I've had my brand, we've been building a brand for a long time and it's evolved. Fig team has had many iterations. I really think that the brand is a reflection of who we are authentically. We want our brand to give the same essence that people would feel when they meet us, right? We believe in, like we call ourselves Fig Team now, right? It used to be Figueroa Team. But, we've always, I think, put out a brand that has a reputation that stands for excellence. We're going to, work really hard for our clients and for our partners and for our agents, and we get the job done. We do what we say we're going to do. But now, it's like FIG team, we've got these little acronyms like family, inspiration, growth, right? We tell agents, listen, you think you're joining a real estate team, but you're joining personal development team. You're joining a community. You're joining a family. That's how we treat everybody. So the logo, it's funny, it's had its iterations, but the brand itself, I think, is a reflection of who we are at the center, right? And we have this mission and vision that's very aligned with what we're building. It's, to inspire the heart, the art, and the science of real estate. It's how we are. That's why I'm obsessed with data. I'm obsessed with building, but it still comes down to the heart and the art, right? And I had someone who used to work for me, kind of do a templated logo for us. And then when we broke off, that she stopped working for me and went and kind of used my network to build her business. She kind of went and duplicated the brand. And it's like, next thing you know, I see our very similar font, but it didn't matter if someone ripped off and duplicated my
still not you
font, the gaudiness or whatever it was. They're not us.
Yep.
And our brand is at the core of it. When you're building a brand, it's knowing who you are. And if you know who you are and what you're building, you can build a brand that's beautiful, that reflects you, and it can have different iterations and it can evolve into something beautiful. The biggest thing is you got to walk the walk that your brand is saying that you are, and you got to be consistent, and it's got to be authentic, and it can evolve. Give yourself permission to evolve. And, marketing, it's something I'm passionate about. Obviously, I'm not the one who comes up with all the creative stuff, but I think I'm a big part of it because I play a part in the vision of it.
Love
and
it.
What it should feel like and what it feels like when you're in our presence.
Yeah,
and if your brand can have energy, even when you're not around, then you've built a great brand.
Love it. Wow. I'll take you to battle any day. Because I know you're going to give me 110 and you're fearless. We have the same spirit.
Oh, thank you.
All right,
last honor, first of all, to even be in your presence and learn from you and call you a friend. So I'm honored.
Yeah, thank you. That means a lot to me. So this question is our moonshot. Obviously, like Elon Musk said, to the moon. So your moonshot is like, what's your one goal or dream that people think isn't possible, but that's like, you're like, one day I'm going to do that. What is that moonshot for you? What is a moonshot for you?
I would love to help. I would love to help make 100 millionaires.
There you go.
I would love to help 100 people become millionaires. And it's not about the money. It's about, I know what it felt like first time I realized I was one.
Yeah.
And I know I would love to impact more people and what they could do. Like, I was able to retire my mom. I was able to buy my mom and dad a house. I was able to create some pretty awesome, I would say, memories and do some things for people who are special to me. And it's not about, and I'm just getting started. Like, I'm just put it out there. Like,
for sure.
I want to build homes. I want to help underprivileged people. I want to help young girls that maybe have been abused or who have been mentally abused or whatever the case might be. So it's not about the money. It's about the impact. But I also know that there's some people in my generation where when we talked about wealth, it was a taboo. It was like, oh, we aren't wealthy. And it was like a bad thing. And I want it to be okay to build wealth. I want people to be okay to do good things with it.
Yeah.
And I think never really put it out there. But yeah, we're going to 100 more millionaires.
Let's get it. So we have all our guests on the Real Estate Entrepreneur bring a book that they recommend.
The Alchemist. That book changed my life when I was in a very dark moment and era. And I think, when you see that the presidents have read that book and some of the most impressive, and I would say important people have read that book. It's a book I didn't realize was so powerful until after I read it and saw how many people raved about it. Great book. No matter where you're at in your life, it's one I would say read it. I've read it like 4 or 5 times. And The Untethered Soul is a book for me that's changed.
I'm done. Literally. I'm gonna run out of here. This is getting scary.
Why?
Because I was waiting on you to finish about The Alchemist. And literally in my mind, I'm sitting here saying, as soon as Veronica's done, I was going to say, do you read physical books or do you listen to books? I have it in my notes right here where I was like, I was going to send you the book as a gift for being on the show. And the book that I was going to send you was Untethered Soul. I'm done.
Well, I have the Untethered Soul. And then what I love is I actually gift this journal to, women or people who are important to me. And I did a woman's healing, just retreat. And every woman got the Untethered Soul guided journal, so that they could take the time and listen and speak nice things to themselves. And this is a book that has changed my life. Wow. Someone asked me the other day what I would do differently. And I would say nicer things to myself.
Wow.
If I could go back. And that book has just definitely inspired me. And I'm probably one of their biggest ambassadors. They don't even know who I am. But, I love this book and it's changed my life.
I'm so blown away right now. It's tough. I'm a pretty monotone personality. I've played in front of millions, done all that. I'm pretty I was just talking to my best friend growing up. He was a pastor for 15 years. And he was my best friend growing up about this book. And I said, dude, you got to get it. We were talking about it last night. And I had my whole organization reading this book. And for you to just say, I got 2 books. We've never had somebody do 2 books. That's the first thing. This is 65 episodes. They've only done 1 book. And then she did 2. And I was waiting on her to finish so that I could say, I got a book I want to send you. And it's Untethered Soul. That's God. Okay. Final.
And I got the journal right here with me like a crazy lady.
Man, the Lord has connected us for a reason, real talk. Aside real estate, all that is not normal. That is not normal.
They're going to see it here in real time, how the connection works and how awesome.
Yeah. We're going to come back in 10 years and be like, yeah, remember that podcast when we were talking about that book? And so final thoughts. I'm going to get you out of here. Final thoughts. What would you leave for our listeners on the Real Estate Entrepreneur Podcast and the audience? And then where can people find you?
Okay. So my final thought for anyone who's listening, whether you're part-time, full-time, or maybe in this, challenging type market that we're in, that a lot of people are a little uncertain about, is your actions determine your economy. I don't care what market we're in. You could be successful in any market based on the actions that you take, the mindset that you have, and the work you're willing to put in. And I've been through many, many markets, and I will say I came out okay in each. So can you. And you can find me on Instagram, Veronica Figueroa Inspires, or follow me on Facebook. If you ever want to hit us up, you could always go to, veronicafigueroa.com and find me there, or the Figueroa team. You've many ways to find us. Hit us up and we'd love to connect. If you're thinking about Orlando, Florida, we're your connect there.
There it is. Great episode. So proud of you. Thank you for being on the show today. An Untethered Soul. That's the book, man. Wow. Golly. I got to go out and go walk around the building. Thank you again for being here. Talk to you soon.
All right. We'll talk soon.